In the background of this video, you are seeing Duck Game. I highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out yet. In this instance, I am the brown duck. But that isn't what this video is about. I am going to talk about Gawker, and I'm going to talk in quite general terms. So recently they published an article outing a gay man. Why? Was this relevant to anything that influences the public? Not that I can figure out. They published a story that could easily hurt him, and perhaps more importantly, a lot of people around him, without there being any clear indication as to why the damage is outweighed by the importance of getting this information to the public. It is certainly interesting to the public, but I do not believe sharing this information was in the public's interest. And that is sort of the level on which everyone is decrying them. And they are absolutely right to. That is an example of totally unethical journalism. There are some people saying this is wrong because you never out a gay person. I disagree. Maybe they're doing something else that's really absolutely in the public's interest to know, and incidentally telling you about that because of the circumstance also outs them. Another scenario in which I believe it may be in the public's interest to out someone would be if they are a public figure talking about things involving being gay, particularly if they are saying, being gay is bad, it's wrong, you should stop all homosexuals. And it turns out they're fucking a rent boy behind their wife's back. In that instance, I believe that information is relevant to the public to whom this person is broadcasting a message. And then there's just public figures in general. Because a public figure is in the public's eye, they are presenting themselves in a certain way. If they are presenting themselves as being absolutely straight, for example, whether you think that's important or not, they are lying to the public. So I think you could basically justify it there, but that's the softest argument, I believe. Anyway, I'm just outlining why I think most people are upset. This is a guy who is not absolutely a public figure in quite the same way his brother is. He is high up in a big company, but he's not exactly a celebrity or politician, and he's not doing anything where that information helps the public. On top of that, there are allegations that this may be fake, but I'm not going to dig into that. I'm going to be looking at this in the context of what the article has done, because it has been believed. There we go, the basics are out of the way. Now I'm going to point out all the ways in which Gawker has fucked up horribly that you may not have noticed. I saw one writer for a site that is under Gawker, I think Jezebel, say the standard should be, if it is true, post it. No, absolutely not. In terms of you being able to get in any kind of legal trouble, for the most part, yeah, okay. There are limitations, I would say, like posting someone's PIN number and credit card details. Nevertheless, in spite of me saying it shouldn't bring any sort of real serious trouble on you, it is still absolutely unethical to just work on the standard of if it is true, post it. That is the kind of attitude that you would expect from an outlet that has put business and making money above everything else, including standards. And the hilarious thing is, that priority has caused further problems. Gawker pulled that piece down. That, in my eyes, was a fuck up. The journal is complaining about editorial independence being violated by the owner of the publication stepping in to pull the piece are absolutely correct. So let's recap. Pieces like this get posted on Gawker because it is a piece of shit that cares about business first. Pieces like this get pulled from Gawker because it is a piece of shit that cares about business first above all else. Both of these things happening are abominable and absolutely unethical. Remember, pulling the piece does not fix it. The owner of the publication stepping in to remove it undermines any good journalism done by Gawker. You have to wonder, is this just allowed to be here by the owner? What hasn't been allowed to be there that would shape our view differently? Rather than reporting, they are producing propaganda to benefit the business Gawker because of the context in which it is being published, a context in which the owner of the publication pulls things out for PR's sake. People are right when they say, don't smear everyone under Gawker because of this one unethical article. But I would say, yes, smear everyone who agrees to work for Gawker while the owner of the publication pulls things like this. Their work is entirely compromised in my eyes. The people who work for Gawker are correct to protest this. The people who protest this but still continue to work for Gawker are trash, because they've recognized that yes, there was an unethical piece posted, but that doesn't mean that the business side of things should step in and take editorial control to help their image. It would be really bad if on a game site you had its owner stepping in to say, oh no, you can't say a bad thing about them because they advertise here. This is related to that kind of idea, but far, far worse. This is a publication's owner stepping in and saying, no, we can't have that on our site because the public don't want to hear it. It's all down to intent and who is doing it. And as a result of that, I believe anyone who works in those circumstances is actively working against the public's interest. They are agreeing to work in a circumstance where, if their writing isn't something they think the public will want to hear and might turn them off the outlet, the owner of the publication might step in and say, "Nah, editors, look, we're not posting this, I need to make money." Yes, it was wrong to publish that piece in the first place, but that is one foul. This kind of stepping in undermines Gawker and every publication under them as a whole. On that note, I'm going to go back down to the level of that single piece. One defense is, they are just attacking someone in power, and that journalists should always attack people in power. They should have an antagonistic relationship with those in power, but it should be in the context of because the press exists to serve the public. Here, how have they really hurt this guy? They might hurt his family life. In terms of him being a person with power, this isn't gonna hurt him, and now he's untouchable. You see, let's say he was doing something a bit wrong at his company that could be exposed, could get him in trouble with his job, could get him to lose power. Who the fuck is gonna touch him now? You have shoved him into the position of being a kind of protected class who has now been oppressed by the press. Who is not going to side with him? So, on every level, Gawker have been fuck-ups, absolute failures. On the level of being ethical, they have failed. On the level of having integrity as a publication, they have failed. On the level of just being rebellious and attacking power, they have failed. Not only are they scummy, but they are ineffective, and anything good they have done has been undermined to some degree. Because you know that the owner of the publication does interfere, you don't know what hasn't been published for business reasons. Because remember, the editorial staff absolutely can pull stuff. It's not that it has been pulled, it is who pulled it and why. And now we know that is something that's done when it comes to Gawker publications. Gawker is absolutely irredeemable. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.